Hello everyone. So today I'm going to London to attend Atlassian's Team 22 viewing party. Initially I was supposed to go to Las Vegas because that is where the event is happening, but if you have been following my channel, then I'm sure you know about what happened to my passport. So my passport was going to expire in June, and I filled up the application form in the month of January, but I got the date. My appointment date was actually in March. So now I got my new passport, but it was a bit too late to plan anything. But hopefully next year I'll probably go to Las Vegas. So today I thought I'll probably talk about how much salary you need if you are thinking of coming to UK. Let us say you have an offer from a company in UK who is willing to sponsor you, and when you have a job offer, you might be wondering whether your salary that you have been offered is enough or not. So in this video I'll probably help you and give you an idea based on the fact that you will be living in or around London area, because in UK the cost of living is of course different based on where you live. If you are living somewhere in north of England, or maybe north of UK, maybe you're living in Wales or Scotland or Northern Ireland, then things might be different. Now starting with the most expensive thing, and that is the accommodation. Now if you are thinking of living somewhere in London, or maybe a bit outside London, because that is where most people live who work in London or who are supposed to travel to London. They try to live not too far from London. So, usually, talking about, of course, the rent, you can get a two-bedroom house with a small garden somewhere in the range of 1200 or maybe 1500 pounds. Again, it can be slightly less or a slightly more expensive depending upon the location, but on an average it is roughly 1200. If you take my suggestion, my recommendation would be to live a bit outside London, because that is where you will get a bigger house and also a bit more space, like in terms of, for example, a garden. And especially if you have kids, then it makes more sense if you have more space. And apart from the bigger house that you can probably get for the same amount, I mean, not too big, but it will be definitely bigger than what you will get if you are living somewhere in London. More than the space of the house, it is more about the crowdness. I personally do not like living in crowded places, and if you are in UK, you will appreciate the beautiful countryside. So that is, I believe, you should also consider if you're okay to travel maybe for 1 hour or maybe 45 minutes. Now, the second thing that I wanted to talk about is the travel. Now, based on where you live, if you're living somewhere in the outskirts of London or maybe outside London, then your travel expense would be more. London, if you look at the travel map, it is divided into 6 zones, and the amount that you pay to travel to zone 1. Zone 1 is basically this place, this central London. The price for traveling from zone 6 to zone 1, or maybe from outside London to these zones, will be based on uh, how long you're traveling and to which zone you're traveling. So usually if you're traveling to zone 1, that will definitely cost you a lot. But if you look at the rent or maybe the mortgage, if you are planning to buy your own house in future, and if you also take a look at the travel cost, if you save money on your rent, then you will spend the same amount of money on travel. So you have to basically, it's a trade-off. You have to think about whether you prefer living in a bigger, slightly better locality, or maybe in a countryside. And when you have to travel, you can definitely, pay a bit more and maybe spend 1 hour to travel to London. When I say 1 hour travel to London, I'm talking about the central London. I mean, if your work location, or if you're supposed to travel to London, uh, maybe in zone, maybe you're traveling to zone 5 where you have your office, so you might not be spending that long. For example, from my place, the place where I live, if I have to travel to Paddington, it is usually 20-minute train, so it is actually quite good because I can be in zone 1 in 20-25 minutes. And from Paddington, of course, I have to travel to, let us say, this area, which is, where you have the St. Paul Cathedral. It can take maybe another 20-ish minutes. And if you also consider the time that you walk from one platform to another platform, so it can take, of course, up to 1 hour for me. But this is, of course, acceptable. I don't really mind traveling for 1 hour. So accommodation is roughly £1,200. If you talk about travel, it is roughly, let us say, if I talk about myself, if I have to travel to London every day, I can be spending anywhere in the range of 400, £450 per month, which is, I know, a lot of money. But of course, I don't really travel to London every day. Then you have to pay council tax if you have a very big house in a posh locality. Then definitely you will pay more council tax. Council tax is based on the size of the house and the area where you're living. So it can be somewhere around £150, which I know it is a lot, and that is per month. But it can be a bit more, maybe up to £200, maybe a bit more. It depends. It depends on the locality. But roughly it is in the range of 150-ish pounds. And rest of the things are not very expensive, to be honest. I mean, it depends how you look at things, but groceries are not very expensive, to be honest, in UK. And if I talk about a small family, let us say husband, wife, and one kid, you can be spending anywhere in the range of £250 or maybe £300. So if I buy my groceries every 2 weeks, I don't really think I spend more than £250, which I believe is probably more than enough. I think I spend a bit too much on buying unnecessary things. And talking about the electricity, gas, water, and internet, I think if you sum up everything, you can be paying somewhere around, I guess, 100-ish pounds. It's a bit difficult to give you an idea, but it is again a big expense, 100 something pounds. And it can be different, to be honest, based on how much energy you're consuming. Again, if you're keeping your heating on all the time, then of course you will be paying a lot. But if your house has maybe uh, good sunlight exposure throughout the day, then maybe you will not pay that much on heating. But again, it can be somewhere in the range of 100-ish pounds for all the utilities. And apart from this, you might also be interested in getting, let us say, the house insurance, which I believe is a requirement if you are trying to get a house on rent. And there might be some other miscellaneous expensive. But to give you a short answer, I know I've been talking for a while now, but to summarize everything, if you want to live a decent, comfortable life somewhere in London, if you're working in London, if your base location or for your office is in London, then if you are earning, let us say, something like £3,000 per month, I think that should be enough. And you will also save maybe some money, because I don't really think with all the expenses that I have talked about, you can of course be looking at maybe something like 2,000-ish pounds, a bit more, a bit less. But yeah, I don't really think you will be spending or you would need more than 2,000 or 200 to 2,200 to 2,300, roughly in the range of I think even if you're trying to live a luxurious life, you will be spending. I don't think you would need more than 2,500 pounds per month. And of course, anything that you earn more than this amount is your saving. And to give you an idea about the salaries, let us say if you have a package of five, not five, 50,000 pounds, let us take this one example of 50,000 pounds, then you can expect your take home salary to be something like 3,000 pounds. So if let us say you are a small family, husband, wife, and daughter, and only one person is working, then you are of course looking at spending, let us say, 2,000 something pounds every month, and rest is of course your saving. So if you have a package of 50,000, I think that should be enough. But again, if the uh, if the other partner is also working, then you have double salary. So that is also an advantage. And good thing about UK is that if you have one person who is on sponsored visa, then of course that person is supposed to work for that company only, but the dependent, your husband or your wife or your partner, are free to do whatever they want. They can work in any company, they can do part-time job, they can also do contracting, they can open their own business. So if you if you want, you can actually earn a more amount. And of course, if you also want to buy a car, you can. I think you should buy a car if you are living outside London, on, let us say, on the outskirts, or maybe if you are living maybe in a small village. So buying a car makes sense. And if you have to buy a car, you can buy a car. I think for £1,000 you can get a decent car that will actually, I mean, work fine. To be honest, you can of course spend more amount on buying maybe, I mean, depending upon uh, how much interest you have in cars, you can actually buy really good cars here, used cars. So if you buy a car, you also have to pay, I believe, the tax, which is not really a lot, but still you have to pay tax, the road tax, I believe. And if you are earning, let us say, I mean, we talked about 50,000 pounds, which will probably give you roughly 3,000 pounds per month take home. If you're earning, let us say, 70,000, then you can expect a take home salary of 4,000. If you are earning, let us say, 85,000, then you're maybe a bit more than 85. I think your take home would be, I think, something like 5,000 pounds. So you can actually go to, there are a lot of take home calculators, like take home salary calculators, where you can find out the amount that you will get in hand after all the taxes. In UK, of course, you have to pay a lot of tax. If you are earning a decent amount of money, then you will be paying, I believe, roughly 40% tax, which I know is a lot, but that is how things are. And that is it. I think I have given you, I believe, a good idea about the expenses of living in UK, and hopefully, based on this information, you can make up your mind. And if you have an offer from a company in UK, usually companies would give you, I believe, proper package, because in UK there is a concept of minimum wage, and minimum wage in UK is, I believe, in this financial year is 9.5 pounds per hour, which is quite decent. And these minimum wages are actually decided and defined by the government based on the cost of living. So you can actually expect, if you have an offer from a company in UK, then you can expect uh, that they are not really going to pay you uh, less than the market rate. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed watching this video. Yes, in this video I gave you really good information about the cost of living in UK, but I wanted to make this video because few people in the past have asked me this question, and because I have also come from outside, I can definitely give you my perspective of living in UK and working here. Maybe in another video I'll talk about the work culture and how working in UK is different from or same as working in Indian companies. All right. Thank you very much. Bye bye.